Okay, awesome. Hey all, good evening. Thank you so much for joining this India VMUG session. Today we are going to be talking about, all about Marketo's revenue cycle model. So let's get started. Before actually getting started, let's see and discuss where you are from joining and what are you hoping to learn, what's your favorite drink, what part of world are you joining from. If you're joining from India, which city are you joining from, get to know each other a bit and get the conversation in the chat started too. And feel free to meanwhile we are sharing, feel free to post questions in the chat or in the Q&A section, and once we open up the forum for the Q&A, we can start taking up your question. So awesome. And Ajay and I are very much excited for this session, specifically because it's almost an year since we launched, relaunch India VMUG session. So this is our fifth session since we took over as India VMUG leaders, and we are really thankful for your guys' support. Everyone's support, it really means the world to us. So
yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. Means it is absolutely an honor to represent the co-leader of this virtual user group, and thank you so much for your active participation, because without that it wasn't possible at all. And we have more than 200 plus members in our user group, and that itself says the strength when we talk about other mugs. So thank you so much for your active participation. Appreciate that as always.
yeah, thank you so much. So here's a quick overview of the items that we'll be discussing today. So we'll be starting with the welcome introductions, housekeeping for the first 10 minutes. Then we'll be discussing about RCM, what it is really, and how users can be benefited from using it. Then we'll try digging in deeper into RCM. What are different components of it, different stages, transitions, what are path, success path, detour path, etc. Then we'll dive a little bit deeper. We'll be talking about the RCM transitions and how what are the different ways in which we can set up the RCM transitions. And of course, RCM is one of the primary part of a lead lifecycle process. And of course, there are certain best practices that comes around with it. So we'll be discussing some of the best practices with regards to RCM as well. And towards the end, we'll also be discussing we'll take a deeper look at the RCM reporting. What are the different analytics, different RC reports that are available specific to the RCM, so that, as we build up the RCM, as we set up different stages, we are at the end of it, we are also able to see, beautiful reports and analyze the process as well. So let's get started. Let's get started with the introductions first. I do see a lot of familiar faces and names. So yeah. So for those of you who do not know me, I am Darshil Shah. I work as a consultant at Deloitte. I am a 2022 Marketo Engage champion, and also got named as the champion of the year. I am 2-time certified architect, 3-time certified expert, and also subject matter expert. And I co-lead the India VMUG with Ajay Sarpal and co-lead the Delhi user group with Amit Jain and Chiran Shah. And I am also a Marketing Nation community advisor, and so excited to be representing the India VMUG community, and looking forward to interact with you, sharing the knowledge all along today's session. I will like to introduce Ajay Sarpal to introduce himself as well.
Thank you so much, Darshil. Pretty impressive accolades and certifications for you. So there is a lot for everyone to learn, and there are many things that I learn from you every day. So thank you so much for co-leading this user group. So my name is Ajay Sarpal. I'm based out in Bangalore, at present in Punjab, and I'm founder and CEO of Unicorn Martech. I'm 2020's Marketo's Champion of the Year, 4 times Marketo Engage champion, 3 times subject matter expert, and this title is given to those who are actually responsible for writing certification exam question. So I'm in the core committee, which is actually responsible for writing certification exam questions, starting from associate expert till architect level. And I'm co-leading India VMUG along with Darshil and virtual Marketo measure user group with Kimberly Gallitz. And I was also awarded Fearless 50 in 2019 by Adobe. And I'm also Marketo certified solution architect. Next slide, please, Darshil.
Yeah.
So I will start with the housekeeping items. Uh, so there are certain housekeeping rules which we are supposed to follow. So in order to ensure that our MUG stay user focused and safe space for members of the marketing nation, uh, we shouldn't be self-promoting anything or pitching of any kind that is actually related to sales and that is actually not following the guidelines. So we should be avoiding that. We shouldn't be contacting people outside of the user group without their consent. And if a MEG member shares their use cases at this user group, please don't share that information without their consent either. So these are the few housekeeping rules which we all adhere to. And this mug meeting is being recorded. And if you do not wish to participate in the live recorded session, please feel free to watch the recording at a later time. And if you have any question or if you have any recommendations, please feel free to reach out to myself and Darshil. Our email addresses are listed over here, and you can reach out to us through LinkedIn as well, whatever way is convenient to you. Next slide. So in order for you all to stay connected with us, the best option that we have is Bevy. This is the tool for the Adobe Marketo Engage user group, and the instructions are listed on the presentation, which will be shared with you. You need to log into India VMUG page, create an account using the email which is associated with your Adobe Marketo Engage account. And once you will join the chapter, you will receive all notifications and reminders about the events which the chapter is going to post. Next slide. So upcoming opportunities for chapter members. So this is something which is really exciting, and many of you may want to become a Marketo champion. So this is supposed to be the prerequisite of it, that we need to be a loyal advocate of Marketo. We need to start promoting good things, and we need to write reviews. So the thing is that all you need to do is just spend 10 minutes of your time and lead a review of Adobe Marketo Engage on Gartner Peer Insight and other review platforms. And there is a deadline which I believe is passed, but
Yeah,
it is.
it is on all the time, so I think
Yeah,
this is valid right now as well.
that's right. This is what my hunch is, because I just reviewed Marketo on another platform, and then the promotional items were still on. And the best thing is that you will end up getting $25 gift card as a thank you note. And the most important thing is that just in case if you are planning to become a champion, these things do count while you submit your champ application. And few things for you to keep in mind, that the reviews which you are going to submit, those are anonymous. um, Personal emails aren't accepted, and be thorough in your answer. What all the questions are being asked. Next slide. So the new webinar series, Champion Deep Dives, this is pretty interesting. And if I'm not wrong, there was one webinar which happened in this series, and there were 4,000 attendees. So this is pretty intense. And I would always suggest and recommend that, please take a part of these webinar. If you're not able to attend live, that's absolutely fine. You can always get yourself registered and you can watch it online at your leisure. So, the the way to access these webinars is listed in this slide, and we will be sharing this with you. And these webinars are pretty awesome. So next slide. And now Marketo Engage certifications. We basically have 3 certifications, that is professional, expert, and master. If you haven't planned for your certification, I would suggest that please go for it, because except master, although we are working on it, the professional and expert, there is no need for you to give the entire exam again and again. There are recertification options available which are free. And there is no one who is actually monitoring means those, so you can give those certification at your leisure at with your multiple attempts. So earlier it used to be, once you're certified, then every 2 years you need to study again, spend a month, and then appear for it. That need is no longer valid. So that is the best part of it. Get yourself certified if you haven't, and be a part of the elite certified community of Adobe. Next slide, please.
Yeah. So before we get kick started with the today's items, we are in talks with Adobe and we are planning something exciting for the India MUG chapter. And of course, everything that we plan, we do consider taking our chapter members' input so that our chapter stays and the activities that we do in this chapter, they stay relevant for the users. And of course, in the end, the entire chapter is all about the community, how well we are able to serve the community and ensure that we also meet your expectations. So we have a very quick poll that we wanted to pull up right now and get your inputs and thoughts about it. And based on your suggestions, we'll be taking next steps and we'll be working with Adobe. So let me just quickly pull up the poll, and this poll is completely anonymous. I mean, it's just a very basic question regarding the next step of our mock chapter. Let me just launch the poll, and after that I will also share the results with everyone. So if you don't mind, just submitting a response, it's a single select type response. So we are basically planning to, start, some in-person events as well, along with the virtual events, so that we are able to meet everybody in person, share thoughts, and of course, get the personal touch as well. So we just wanted to, get your thoughts around it. So I'll keep the poll open for, few more seconds so that everybody can log in the responses. Awesome. Awesome. Last 5 seconds, guys. Okay. Thank you so much. I'll just share the results. So it appears that large part of audience, they prefer Delhi as the preferred location for our in-person meeting. So yeah, there are some people who prefer the virtual event. So don't worry, virtual events aren't gonna go. We will of course conduct the hybrid mode, virtual plus in person, and of course we are gonna discuss this with Adobe and maybe post it on LinkedIn before we also take some steps in along with Adobe. So thank you so much, guys, and yeah, let's continue our session. So the cool thing about today's session is that we have three INR 2500 vouchers to give away to you guys. So for that, we have put together three multiple choice questions all along the session, and those questions are particularly pretty simple and very much related to the content that we are covering during this session. So to participate, you like as soon as you see a question, which will be like which we have placed in middle of slides today. So just submit your response in the chat window. The person who responds first would be the winner, and we'll be noting their name down. And in the event that the first respondent for a question is already won a voucher for a previous question, we'll pick the next respondent so as to ensure fair game here. And of course, we'd like to request winners to send your name, country, and email address on LinkedIn or via email to us so that we can then submit it to Adobe and we can start proceed with the voucher dispersal process. And yeah. Awesome. So be attentive, guys. So the questions are pretty simple, just be about the material that we are gonna cover today. So all the best. So I'll let Ajay kickstart about RCM, what really it is, and yeah, take it forward.
Thank you, Darshil. In fact, I'm also pretty excited
Yeah.
for for I won't call it raffle, but these vouchers. It is pretty amazing, but sad you and I we are not eligible for it. But anyways, I'm happy for others.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now the question is, what really is revenue cycle modeler? So in a layman term, think about it is a way through which you can find it out where your leads are in your revenue funnel process. Few people may call it as demand funnel process. Few people may call it as lead life cycle model. But the basic crux is that what all hard work which a marketer is doing, you know, in at the end of the day, the CMO would like to see that, hey, we sent out a very good webinar campaign, how many attendees, how many registration we got it, um, how many MQLs we got it, are there leads or MQLs, which are accepted by sales, what is the revenue which we are going to expect it. So these are pretty common questions which are being asked by the chief marketing officers, or people who are heading marketing operations. And in order for us to be better equipped for those answers, or for those questions, revenue cycle modeler is the best way and the easiest way without involving your sales operations. And that's the key. Uh, why the revenue cycle modeler of Marketo has an edge over other platforms is that this is the only lead life cycle model that you could build without involving your sales operations team. And think about it. I manage multiple clients, and a few clients of mine, they are so strict. If you're creating a field or something on Salesforce, they will tell you to create first in 3 sandboxes and then roll it out to production, and then it becomes a nightmare. Means practically it may take a year to launch lead lifecycle model. But the beauty of Marketo is that it comes with a default revenue cycle model. If I'm not wrong, there are two models that actually comes um, in the library, and all you need to do is just export those, tweak those, and then you're all good. So here in the screen, you're seeing a revenue cycle modeler, and it actually visually represents the customer's journey from initial contact to final purchase. And then we have detours as well here, because not every lead is genuine. So there will be situations where during the sales cycle we get a lead, that lead may not be the right target, we need to unqualify that lead. There are leads which are not ready as yet, we may have to put those leads back to nurture. So these are the things we could actually specify it here. And then that means we are actually tagging our leads based on their activities. And mainly this is being done by setting up the lead scoring model, and based on a threshold criteria of different lead scoring stages, we can set up these lead, sales lead, and opportunity one. And then there, and like the way you see here, a delayed stage, we could customize it for nurture, or as well as for disqualification. So this is how a lead life cycle model is actually built on Marketo. Next slide, please. And what really is revenue cycle model? It is customizable, and that is the beauty of it. You could add as many stages as you would like to add over here. And this model is could be tailor made based on the buying process of your company. And we all know that the boilerplate instructions don't work for everyone, and the same model which I use for one of my client may not be useful for the another client of mine. So the beauty of Marketo cycle modeler is that it is highly customizable, and you could actually help it, or you could use it to measure the revenue, and you could use it to measure key metrics and conversions at each buyer journey stages. Not just that, it can even provide you much deeper insights, which we are going to cover in the latest slides, so that you could actually see the various reporting that actually comes along with that. And the optimize, that is the third feature of it, that it really helps marketer to understand and optimize their revenue generation process. Because most of the time, people usually say that, oh, webinar doesn't produce MQLs. But in reality, webinars produce a lot of known leads, which get nurtured during the lead life cycle. And then, they are becoming MQL, sales lead, and opportunity. So webinar is a great source for making or maybe converting known leads. A sales email, a sales dinner, or an event could be another way of graduating your lead from known to MQL, or maybe from MQL to a sales lead, or thereafter an opportunity. But each and every marketing tactic is pretty much important. And this is what you could actually learn using this revenue cycle modeler, that how those activities are actually impacting various stages of your lead life cycle model. Next slide, please, Darshil. And and this is the report which I was actually talking about, that the success path analyzer. This report comes out of the box. That means you need not to build this dashboard. It is pretty easy, self-explanatory, and if you see, it actually shows you the conversion from one stage to another. So if you see this specific chart over here, there is a known stage, then there is an engaged stage, and then there is a lead stage, and you will be able to see the balance leads, the inflow leads, the outflow leads, the conversion percentage, and the average time. And trust me, if you're using a CRM to monitor your demand funnel process, it is actually a nightmare to calculate the conversion percentage, and not everyone could convert it. And the beauty of Marketo's RCM is that once you have this, it comes by default. It is pretty easy for you to find it out, the conversion rate. So next time onwards, if you have RCM model implemented, if your chief marketing officer may come and ask you that, hey, what is the conversion rate between MQL to opportunity created, or SQL or SAL? It is pretty easy. You can always see this report and give this data to your CMO or CFO or whoever you would like to share it with. And the another best part is that the insight gained from RCM enabled data-driven decisions to optimize revenue generation efforts. And there is another thing which I want to point out. Given the market condition, or given what all is happening in the industry nowadays, earlier, what is used to call at marketing operations, it is now being called somewhat revenue operations, although it is marketing operations, because people are emphasizing a lot on revenue. And in many of the companies, marketing is now no longer treated as a cost center. And the reason is that everyone values the revenue that comes out of it. Just in case the organization where you are associated with, that's being falling under the category of cost center, then these are the reports which will actually help you to not only accelerate your demand generation effort, but to give you the visibility which each and every marketer deserves. So this is one of the coolest report which I always prefer my all clients to have with them. And if you have subscription of revenue cycle model, please get that implemented as quickly as possible. Next slide, please. So what is the easiest way of creating an RCM model? It is pretty easy. You just need to log into Marketo, because without logging into Marketo, you can't create it. And then you need to go to analytics, create new, and then click on new revenue cycle model. And all, you will be, it will come with few default stages, and thereafter you will be able to add detours and gate stages, like the way, or however you would like to modify it. Next slide, please. And if you want to edit the RCM model, it is pretty easy. Again, all you need to do is log into Marketo, find out where exactly your RCM model is, and then click on edit draft. And thereafter, you will be able to add a new stage. And then it is pretty easy and self-explanatory. Or you could actually refer Marketo product doc, that, just in case if you would like to play around with the system and you have never done it. So, but it is pretty easy. Means it is something like drag and drop. It is not complicated. Next slide, please. So here is our first question. Like Darshil said, please be prepared. The first one who answers in the chat is going to win it. And should we give you some time, or are you ready for it? Okay, let's give you just only 3-4 seconds, and then we will launch our first question. So just prepare, read the question thoroughly, and then whoever answers the first is going to win it. Darshil, can you please go to? So in which of the following Marketo sections can we create a revenue cast? Oh, okay. So I guess before even me reading, we have the answers. You all were very well prepared.
Awesome. I think Piyush
Piyush
Sachdeva.
Sachdeva.
Yeah. Piyush, if you don't mind, would you please email your details over to us on LinkedIn, or like on email address or LinkedIn? It would be appreciated. We'll pass it on to Adobe. But
Yeah,
I think
sure, Darshan.
yeah, I think we aren't connected on LinkedIn, so that should be fine. Yeah. Thank you so
Yeah,
much,
we
and
are already connected.
congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. So don't worry, others. We do have 2 more questions left. So yeah. Okay.
Yep. Awesome. And Darshil, now over to you for the next section of slides.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much, Ajay. Thank you so much for covering the background about the RCM, what really it is, and why should people, like more and more market users who are not using RCM should be using it today in their demand funnel and Marketo instance setup process. So now that we have some idea about RCM, what it is, where to create, how to create, the basics of it, let's dive a bit deeper. Let's discuss about RCM stages, the transitions in the path basically. So RCM by default, it has three stages that comes out of the box. The first type of stage, it is known as the inventory, and this is the most commonly used in stages in the RCM model. I mean, you wouldn't find the RCM model without an inventory stage. So for each of the stages, we have added a small, icon of how that particular stage looks like in the UI. Sorry for the pixelated image, but that's the best image that we could get out of Marketo instance, because these icons are actually really small in the Marketo instance. So talking about the inventory stage, so it looks like a box, as you can see in the icon itself. And so what does the box do? It holds things, right? So that's what the inventory stage does. So it basically holds the people in that particular stage. So for example, I can have an inventory stage for engaged, I can have an inventory stage for qualified engaged, MQL, sales accepted leads, etc. So all the people who are assigned and in that particular inventory stage would be residing in that stage. And the analytics, the reports that tie to the RCM basically that we discussed, one of the reports that Ajay covered briefly, those reports basically it will keep track of inflow, outflow, and balance of people in these inventory stages. So as I said, it is the most preliminary stage of the RCM, and you will not find an RCM model without the inventory stage. The next type of stage is the SLA stage. So as most of you would know, SLA stands for short. It's short for service level agreement. So at some stages, you would want to enforce a time limit for processing people in that stage. So for example, if you are passing a lead over to sales for determining if that is a valid lead that they should pursue or not, you would want to add a particular SLA of few hours, like maybe 24 hours or 48 hours, depending on your marketing and sales process. So that's where this SLA stage comes in. So most like the most common place that you would use an SLA stage would be for the MQL stage, SQL stage, etc. So basically, where you want a time dimension to be considered, a time limit, a SLA to be enforced, you use the SLA stage. So it is pretty similar to the inventory, apart from the time dimension. SLA stage also holds people. And a lot of people do ask me, like, what happens if a person is present in that SLA stage for hours more than that is determined, say more than 48 hours? Then I mean, nothing sort of happens. Basically, person keeps staying in that particular stage until we move them to a different stage. But that would be reflected in report that so and so many person, like so and so many people, they moved out of the SLA stage after the time period got over. So that is something you can use to determine if the sales and marketing people are actually following the process, the SLA process that you have put in place. So next type of stage is the gate stage. So gate stage is meant for situations where you want to filter leads basically. So unlike the previous two stages, gate stage cannot hold people. It can only let people pass through it. So based on the certain transition conditions, you want to, if you, so for example, if you want to move a person to stage A versus stage B based on a certain condition, you use a gate stage at that point. So as I said, people pass through it. They don't stay in that particular stage, and like the inventory and SLA stage. So gate stage is one of the rarest of stage that we end up using in the RCM model. I don't see a lot of people using it, and I personally haven't used it a lot, but it is there in case if you want to use it.
I would like to add something over here, Darshil.
Yeah, please, Ajay.
So I joined a company as a senior manager marketing operations, and when I joined, the chief marketing officer said that he would like to see how many leads or type A MQLs, or we call it just MQLs, are being followed up and within the SLA, and how many leads are not being followed up. The traditional ways that you need to stamp means just in case if you're not using the RCM, the only way is that you need to have each and every stage marked as a field in Salesforce in leads and contact object. So maybe you need to come up with stages like MQL and then SLA. SLA means then write workflows to keep updating it, and that becomes a nightmare if you don't know Salesforce. And second thing, if you know Salesforce, but there is situation that sales operation team is not letting you to build something at your own convenient. And at times there could be political situations that they'll make it so complex that the process itself is so complex that you're not able to find it out. This SLA stage is so important. It will like the way Darshil said, that with the help of this SLA stage, you can easily find it out how many MQLs or leads or SLs are not being followed up within the agreed time. And and these things can be is built on CRMs as well, but you need to have a support of an expert Salesforce admin or CRM admin. But just in case, if you want to be self-sufficient, this is the best report that you could actually find it out. And we implemented SLA stage, and without having any access to the sales CRM, we were easily finding it out that these many MQLs are still there in SLA stage. This should have been dispositioned, or there could have been an opportunity that could have been created out of it. So with disposition means either to disqualify them or move it to nurture, or create an opportunity out of it. So that was an eye opener for the sales team as well, because they were easily see that we have the insight. Means with me, I mean the marketing team has the insight that these many good MQLs are either not being followed up, or the statuses are not being updated correctly on the sales CRM. So this SLA stage is my favorite, and it is something which we must have in our lead lifecycle model.
Awesome.
Please go ahead.
Thank you, Ajay. So thanks for adding that. So apart from stages, RCM also have something known as transition as one of its component. So transitions are basically nothing but the components that connect a stage with the another stage. So for example, in the snapshot, you see a blue little arrow that is connected to the two inventory stages. So it basically the transition determine how two stages are connected. And there are two ways of setting up transitions. So you can use the change revenue, like for moving a person from one stage to another stage, you need to have a transition between those two stages. And you can move a person from one stage to another, given that you have transitioned in two ways. That is, either you can use the change revenue stage flow step in a smart campaign, or you can set up the trigger transition rules in the RCM modeler itself. So if you double click this little arrow, a new window will open up in your RCM model itself, where you can set up the trigger transition rules. So as soon as a person meets that trigger transition rules, and of course you can also add in filters along with those rules, trigger rules, that the person will be transitioned from stage A to stage B. So these are the two ways in which you can set up the RCM transitions. Next up is the let's talk about a success path as well as detour. So always an enterprise level RCM, or a valid RCM would have two components to it, the two paths to it, basically the success path as well as the detour path. So success path illustrates the path that is ideal or intended customer progression of a customer progression from initial stage to them becoming end customer. So basically how a prospect starts their journey with the anonymous person, they move through different stages, and they end up being a customer, in the end a own customer. So all the stages in that path, they are regarded as the success path stages. And in Marketo, there's all the stages in the success path, they are highlighted in the form of a green background, as you can see in the snapshot. And of course, the stages which are not included in the success path constitute the detour path. So as you can see, the delayed stage and the transitions that is connected to the lead stage. So these three components, the transition as well as the delayed stage, they form the detour path basically. So like based on the complexity, based on the use case, business use case, you will have a success path and detour path. And it could get as complex as required. So for example, in the snapshot, it's pretty simple. We are having few stages in the success path. We are having a single stage in the detour path. But in reality, when we are building a RCM model for an enterprise customer, we usually have more than one stages in the detour path that could be follow up or maybe disqualified lead or competitor lead or something of that sort. I mean, these are just examples off the top of my head, but of course we'll have more than one D2 stage in the RCM model in most cases. So the idea of this slide is to ensure that you understand the what success path is, what detour path is, and without all the stages on the success path, you will not be able to approve the RCM. So detour path needs to be complete from anonymous till closed one. So without all the stages in success path, you will not be able to approve the RCM model. So buckle up for the question 2. So of course, the quiz question 2 will be based upon the items that we just covered. So we'll just give you a couple of seconds to open up your chat window. Awesome. Here you go with the quiz question 2. So the question is, sorry, I should have wrote question 2, but yeah, this is of course question 2. We know that. So which of the following is not a valid stage or component of a RCM model? Stream, transition, gate, or inventory? Okay, awesome. I already see a lot of people answering.
We have a winner as well.
Yeah, Prashant Negi.
Prashant Negi. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. Prashant, please.
congratulations.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Prashant, congratulations. I think that makes you rich, isn't it?
Kind of.
Yeah,
So congratulations, Prashant.
Thank
congratulations.
you.
Please
Thank
reach
you,
out
Ajay.
to us,
Thank you, Darshil.
and we would like to know
I
your
hope,
email address.
yeah, please reach out to us on LinkedIn or email. Yeah, and
I
we'll
think,
make sure.
Darshil, we are connected on LinkedIn, but yes, I will
Awesome.
definitely reach out to you. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Prashant. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And once again, congratulations.
Thank you.
So moving ahead, let's discuss some techniques on how we can set up the transitions. I think we already covered this in a bit in the previous section, but yeah, let's cover some of the best practices and how to actually set those up in Marketo in a little bit deep. So in order to set up RCM transition, as we know, the RCM transitions basically allow us to connect one stage with the another stage, and it allows us to move a person from one stage to another stage. So the first there are two ways basically to it. You can use the rules within the modeler, the triggers and filter rules. So if you want to access those, as I said earlier, you just double click it, you say edit transition, and a new window will open up. And for that particular transition, you can define the trigger as well as the relevant filters for it. So anybody who meets this trigger plus filter criteria would be transitioned from person stage to the salesperson stage. And the another way which is most commonly used by people and most commonly used by users is actually using the change revenue stage flow step in a smart campaign. So instead of having all the triggers defined and filters defined in the RCM model itself, usually users they end up creating certain trigger campaigns that they create under a operational program, lead lifecycle operational program, if you will. And those trigger campaigns have the relevant triggers for transitioning people from one stage to another stage, along with, of course, the filters as well. And in the flow, it's pretty simple. You use the change revenue stage, you select your model, and you select the new stage. So anybody who qualifies for the triggers and filters that we have in the smart list, they would flow through the flow and their revenue stage will get updated. So one call out here, the transition rules that you define within the modeler, they need to be trigger based. So they should have at least one trigger for for the model to be approved. But that is not the case with the campaign. Basically, you can create a batch campaign for updating the revenue stage using the flow step. So all in all, the second way wherein you use create a smart campaign and use the flow step to update the RCM stage, that is much more flexible and I think practical too compared to the previous. So this is what I was just saying. So yeah, I mean, so even then, even if you are using smart campaigns for updating stages, using basically the flow step. You need to in your modeler for each of the transition, you need to select go in the edit mode and select the, I don't know if you can say it or not, but you need to select a manual stage trigger from the pick list, like from the area and the right, and drag into the canvas. So what this indicates RCM is that you are gonna manually keep track of stages, and you are going to manually manipulate or move person from stage A to stage B. It did not look for the other triggers for moving the people. So basically this, as I said, we usually go with this manual approach, and the only thing that we need to ensure that is that before approving the model, we need to add the manual stage trigger in all of the transition, the little green arrows that we have in the modeler. And if any of the transition do not have a single trigger, you would not be able to approve that. So of course, once you have your manual stage trigger added in, you can use the change revenue stage flow step in the smart campaigns, and of course use it in conjunction with the relevant triggers and filters in the smart list too. So I'm going to hand it over to Ajay, and he will discuss some of the best practices around implementing the RCM next. Over to you, Ajay.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Darshil. So the first thing first, and it is the prerequisite, and this first condition is the main reason of having a successful RCM model is align your market or revenue cycle model with your business processes. If you have just implemented a RCM model and that is not aligned with your sales stages, it defeats the purpose. If it is not aligned, what we call it as MQL, or what sales assumes as an MQL, it defeats the purpose. So the most important thing is that align your market or revenue cycle model. um, Avoid unnecessary complexity, means have detour stages, which is pretty good, but just don't over complex it. Keep it short and simple. That is the easiest way that I would always recommend, but just don't add too many detour stages if those are not needed. uh, Create a centralized operational program for all smart campaigns. And this is one of the best practice that whenever you're creating these smart campaigns for related to revenue cycle modeler, ensure that those are operational in nature, and those are actually in operational program. Recycle leads, it is pretty important. It is important in that way that if you just have only MQLs and you're not recording the stages for dispositioning, such as recycle or nurture or unqualified, and within unqualified there could be bad data and all other stuff, then that messes up the reporting. So you need to ensure your leads are progressing through different stages, but as and when you need to weed out or move these leads to different stages, you should do that, and you should always have a stage to recycle your leads. And the most important thing, and which we all do, even if we need to build an email campaign, that we always test, review, and assess. So the similar thing, you need to do it with your RCM model as well. Over to you, Darshil.
Yeah, thank you so much for covering this, Ajay. So let's talk about the reporting aspect as well. So of course, when you are creating RCM, you are all creating, like, you are having meetings with the sales team, marketing team, of course, and you are based on their inputs, based on the business case, you are creating RCM. You launched it, and of course, in the end, you will want to see what are the how the performance looks like, how, like, what are the out of the box capabilities in which you can assess the performance of RCM in Marketo. So let's look at some of the reports that are available out of the box in Marketo as well. So of course, as most of you know, the reporting in Marketo is segregated in basically two major fronts. We have the analytics reports, and then we have the RCA and the revenue cost explorer reports. Of course, the analytics reports, most of the reports, they come out of the box. But with the case of RCA and RCE reports, they need to be purchased, as an add-on with the Marketo subscription. So of course, if you have RCE, there are a lot of, like, I mean, there are two reports, but within those two reports, there are a lot of measures, a lot of filters that you can use in order to create wonderful insights. So of course, we'll be discussing all of those items as well. So in the analytics reports, there are two reports of our interest pertaining to RCM. It's the success path analyzer report and the people by revenue stage reports. So we'll be discussing these two reports. I have some snapshots that I will show you in the subsequent slides. But these two are the reports. And in the Revenue Explorer area, we have again two reports pertaining to RCM. The model performance analysis reports basically there are two separate reports for the companies and leads. For the leads report, you basically analyze per person wise, but in the RCM there is a functionality wherein you can track by account as well. So in case you are into ABM, target account management, of course the company's report is also going to be useful to you in case you have RCE2. So let's look at the people by revenue stage report first, which is one of the analytics report pertaining to RCM. So as you can see, it's the pretty similar to rest of the analytics report. We have smart list, we have setup. The only difference being in the setup that along with the other options, the usual options, we also have an option to choose like use the RCM model as one of the filters, and an option to group people by revenue stages. So once you appropriately configure your setup area, and in case if you want to suppress certain people or add any smart list filters, you can do that. And once you click on report, and you will see all of the data grouped by different revenue stages. And of course, these revenue stages pertain to the revenue cycle model that you have selected in the setup tab. And just for information, a single Marketo instance can have multiple RCM models. There are certain use cases where customers end up having different RCM models for different business units across different workspaces. So that is also a possibility, and a single model can also be shared across different workspaces by adding it to a shared folder, basically like we basically add assets to a shared folder. It's pretty similar. So okay, so as you can see in the report, you can see different rows for each of the revenue stage, and in the in each of the columns you see certain data, basically total people who are at this moment in each of the revenue stage. And of course there is an option where you can toggle off the opportunity columns or not, like if you want to view them or not. But of course in I have selected like I have configured the report so that the opportunity columns are also visible. So a lot of opportunity related data, and of course the average opportunity amount, total opportunity amount, and total number of opportunities, and out of that how many got closed, percentage one, days to close, days in the sales stage, basically. So a lot of reporting, a lot of good data, I would say. And of course this is all the dummy data, but yeah, I mean, as you can see, within a single report, within few clicks, you are able to generate a lot of insights without, in case you would not have the RCN setup, you would have to do a lot of, Excel magic to reach to this, to this report, basically. So yeah, that's the people by revenue stage report.
And it is a nightmare, Darshil, to manage this in Excel.
Yeah, yeah. People who would have managed would know. So next up is the success path analyzer report. I think Ajay covered it in like while he was discussing the RCM, like what really it is, the introduction part. So yeah, I mean, to reiterate few of the points that he covered, this is also a wonderful report that is also part of the analytics report section. So in here, you like in this report as well, basically you get a you can select the RCM model, and the RCM model that you select, it automatically generates all of this wonderful insights along with the visual representation, wherein like a time series visual representation as well. So of course on the y-axis it's the number of people, in the x-axis it's the time period. So all of these wonderful insights, the balance inflow of people, outflow, conversation rate, average time that the people spent in this stage, all of these wonderful insights get pulled and computed automatically. And in the reports configuration tab, you have also an option to set the constant on when the person was created. So for example, if you want to see the data of a particular quarter, a particular month, you can do that as well. So again, a lot of wonderful insights out of the box in this report as well. So next up is the RCE reports. So these are like RCE reports. I mean, I really like the RCE reports, and unfortunately, not a lot of customers have this package. But I do spend some time, just playing around different RCE reports, different measures, different levels that are, that are available within different reports. So pertaining to the model analysis reports, leads, and companies, we have added in snapshots of different measures and different levels that the RC reports offer. So as you can see, there is a lot of different insights, a lot of wonderful insights that are available that get unlocked basically, which are not available even in the analytics reports. These get unlocked in the RC as well. So for example, if you want to see, the average age of people, not just the, age, but just the average age of people in a particular stage over a period of time, you can do that. If you want to see the flow of people, if you want to see the flow of just the existing people versus the new people, you can do that. Outflow, SLA date. So these are the items, the SLA due, the SLA past due dates. These get computed based on the, like in case you have the SLA stages that we discussed earlier about in our presentation. So these two items that get computed based on that, and you can pull all the insights of how and when the person did not, like the marketers and salespeople did not end up following the requested SLA. So a lot of measures, a lot of levels too. So for example, you can pull like all the lead attributes. There are certain other attributes pertaining to just the RCM. For example, is the stage active? In case if you deactivate the stage or if you deactivate the model, you can select that as well. So these are all the Boolean attributes, and of course, on success path, stage type, etc. So a lot of levels. I really like to play around these levels and measures to create different visualization and see what each of the levels and measure actually do and how they can be used for for different clients. Similar is the case with the companies as well. For the companies, there are certain less levels and measures, but they do pertain and pull in the company related data at overall, not just the lead data, but the company level data, which is also insightful in case you are into ABM and the target account management stuff. So in the next couple of slides, I have some sample snapshots of course, the test data pulled from a test instance. So that show the the lead balance report basically over a quarter, maybe like January, like over a month, like February, March, April, etc. So in here, as a measure, I have pulled the beginning balance and the ending balance for each stage. And the column I have added the month, as well as like in the rows, I have added the stage. So this ends up, looking like that. So for each of the stage, what's the beginning balance and the ending balance of people, leads in that particular month. So this is also really insightful in case you want to visualize how many people got into stage A and how many people, remained in stage A at different periods of time. Similarly, another snapshot is the where I have put the inflow versus outflow. How many people actually flowed? There was inflow and outflow of the people into each stage, group by month. Pretty similar to this report, but visually a little bit different. So I mean, you can of course play around with like these are just two sample reports, but you can of course play around with the different measures and different attributes that we have and create wonderful insights. So now buckle up, we are towards the, like this is the last question for the quiz. And yeah, we would really like you to win. And I think this is the easiest of all the questions that we have put. So yeah, I mean, really, we'll give you a couple of seconds to pull up the chat. And I think, I mean, most of the people would be able to answer this before we can actually, I'll be able to read the question. So here you go. So which of the following is cannot be used for RCM modeler, modeler reporting? Email performance reporting, people by revenue stage, RCE report, model performance analysis report, lead companies. So yeah, type in your answer.
I think we have a winner.
Yeah, I am not able to see the name, but I see H, like Piyush, of course. I think it pinged the answer first, but I think he already won. So we'll move on to the next. Yeah, H374232. Please, if we are connected on LinkedIn or I think we'll share our email address as well in the chat towards the end. If you can ping us, we'll be happy to start the voucher dispersal process.
Hey, hi,
And-
Darshil. This is Rahul, S374232. So,
That is a creative name.
so actually, I joined this call from my official
Yeah, no
laptop. That's
worries.
why it's reference my employee
Yeah,
ID. No
no
worry.
worries.
Yeah,
No worries.
I will share the email ID with you over the email. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Congratulations, Rahul.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much.
Bye.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Rahul. Initially I thought that, there is someone from the intelligence team trying to steal our information by
Or maybe
hiding the
steal our
identity.
money.
Yeah. So,
No worries.
congratulations, Rahul.
Thank you. Thank you,
Congratulations.
Ajay.
Yeah.
Yeah, bye.
Yeah, now we are ready to open up the forum for any questions that we may have, and we'll of course try to answer. I think I already see a question that I wanted to answer, but meanwhile I was presenting, like Jack's question, I see it in the chat. So Jack says, like he asked that he inherited an instance that built out the transition rules within marketing activities section. Okay, would there be any worth in rebuilding those campaigns in the RCM versus keeping the active campaigns in marketing activities or not? So I think there are two phases to it. I mean, I would definitely not recommend you to, like basically ditch those campaigns out and set up transition rules within the RCM modeler, because that's the not the preferred way that the most users would go. But if you see a lot of, like, if you see that you are not making a lot of changes to the existing campaigns, to the existing transitions and the existing stages that you have in our RCM model, then I would say just, update the campaigns that are already there rather than rebuilding the entire campaign setup from scratch. But if you are adding a lot of stages, a lot of transitions, and if you feel there are a lot of updates, a lot of testing that you need to do for the old campaigns, then maybe just, create a new operational folder and create your campaigns within this that particular operational folder. I mean, it's all about determining whether creating a new campaign setup would be a like more time consuming task, or whether updating the existing campaigns and ensuring that they are correctly set up would be a more challenging and time consuming task. But I would definitely, vouch towards creating, like setting, like managing transitions within campaigns itself rather than managing via the built-in RCM transition rules, because campaigns way is far more flexible in my opinion, and I'm sure a lot of users would agree with me.
Yep, and I would like something here as well, Darshil,
Yeah.
that you pretty much covered everything, and what all you said, those are as per the best practices. And just one thing that I want to add it, that if the transition rules are pretty simple, only then we should use the transition rule within the RCM model. Otherwise, I would always suggest to create smart campaigns, because that gives you a lot of flexibility in uh, updating the transition rules and all other stuff, because within the RCM model it comes with certain limitations, but when you're using smart campaigns, that gives you much more flexibility. So if the conditions to move from one stage to another is complex, always use smart campaigns, because those are scalable. If you think it is pretty much just only based on scoring, not many detour stages, and it is just a basic model, you could think of building it in RCM without using a smart campaign. But when we talk about scalability, smart campaigns is the best choice, and I like Darshil said, I would always recommend always use smart campaigns.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. I think we have a few more questions as well. Is this model applicable for a set of target audience for a campaign? Can we report on the people performance based on this model? I mean, I would strongly suggest, if you want to bifurcate or report on people based on the revenue stage, I would highly suggest you do it via the the RCM reports that we just showed, the revenues people by revenue stage report, because that is very much similar to the, I mean, at least in the configuration setup tab, I would say similar to the people performance report. In the setup tab, you are able to select a time frame within which a person got created, within which a set of people got created. So again, similar to people performance report. And of course, you are able to also group people by revenue stage in that report. So I would slide over to using the people by revenue stage instead of people performance report. But if you still want to, leverage the people performance report, the custom column features that comes out of the box with it, then of course you can create, different smart list. And the smart list can say person like revenue stage being X. You can create different smart lists for each stage, and you can use those as a smart, custom columns in the people performance report if you want to analyze those as a dimension along with other dimension that you can pull in the people performance report. So, and apart from that, I think your other question was, is this model applicable for a target audience for a campaign? So, I mean, if you want only a certain people to qualify or transition to a stage, you can of course define those criteria in your smart campaign that is managing transitions. So I would rather do that. And of course, all the people, they start at the at the first stage that you assign when you approve a model. So of course you can define filters to ensure that only relevant people move to a particular stage. So I hope that answers your question. Yeah, if not, you can come off mute and we can chat about it. Ajay, anything you would like to add? Maybe.
No, you covered everything.
Okay.
So, hi Darshil, Ajay, Prashant here. So I have a quick question. So in case of direct MQL or auto MQL, we are skipping some stages. Like if I'm moving a record direct from known to MQL, what is the best way to set up the transition rule?
Skipping stages. Okay. So you are accelerating a person from stage A to say MQL in case they fill out
Right.
a form.
Like
Okay,
if EFT says known,
got it.
engaged, and MQL, I'm directly moving from known to engaged.
Okay,
So sorry, known to MQL. So
got
how
it.
should, yeah,
So, I mean, of course, that would not be part of your D2 stage. That transition would, of course, go from known to your MQL stage, skipping all this intermediary stage. So, of course, the transition would not be the path in the success path. But you can create a campaign for that. For example, if somebody is filling out a contact us form or whatever activity that you want to listen for, you can create a trigger campaign for it, or maybe batch campaign as well if you rather prefer a batch campaign. And in the flow you can just transition that person to the MQL stage directly. So anybody who is in the known stage, or as a matter of fact in any of the stages, they would be transitioned to the MQL stage. And of course, if we want to ensure that only the people who are pre-MQL, like in the stages that is before the MQL stage, if we want to transition and apply that particular flow step to those people, you can of course use like add relevant filters in your smart campaign to ensure that post MQL stage people do not qualify for that campaign and get MQL. But I
yeah,
mean, yeah.
yeah, that's right. But when we are directly moving from known to MQL, and if we are not passing through that intermediate stage, wouldn't that affect the success path analyzer report, because the inflow outflow data will be screwed up?
Darshil, I would like to add over here, Prashant.
Yeah.
Let's start about the best practices first.
Mm-hmm.
The best practice would be, and let's first talk about what is a known stage. The known stage is how when the lead gets created.
Mm-hmm.
Now think about it, the crawl, walk, and run approach, or maybe think about it, the entire lead sales cycle. Whatever gets graduated, or so sorry, whenever a lead gets created, if we are just keeping the next stage as MQL, is it possible? The answer is absolutely it is possible
Yep.
in Marketo. But my suggestion over here would be that not all leads which are created are going to become MQL
Right.
within a day or within 2 or 3 days. So if we have intermediate stages in between, that is going to help us to find it out how many leads are going to get qualified as MQL based on the conversion rates that we have. Okay, fine, it is just a matter of these many days, and then these many MQLs will be, not MQLs, these many known leads will be getting into engaged, or maybe we call it prospect, then engage, and then MQL stage. But if you want to keep it just only known and MQL, it is definitely possible. As far as my recommendation here would be, let's not go with that, because that may not give the clear picture which you may want to showcase.
No, I got that. So we want to have the intermediate stage, but for some cases we get the request from the sales team. If someone is doing a high value engagement, like filling up a contact us form, we don't want to move them to intermediate stage. We want to mark them MQL direct. Like
Yeah.
once they become known, we
right.
Yeah.
So now I understood your requirement better.
Right.
So Prashant, the thing is that most of the time, or as per the best practices, when we speak about the entire RCM model is usually built on lead scoring model.
Mhm.
And there are MQLs, the fast track MQL, when someone filled out the contact us
Right.
form, hand raiser.
Yep.
In that case, you will be graduating the score to that threshold, which will be taking the lead from, known to MQL directly.
Mhm.
There is no need
Right.
for you to pass it on to other stages, because it defeats the purpose in that
Right.
scenario. And
Right.
you're directly adding that score, which is actually graduating the lead to MQL. Then it will be going directly to MQL. It won't be a part of other leads. Oh, sorry,
Mhm.
other stages.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Awesome. And I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Awesome. Cool.
Awesome. I do not see any more questions in the chat, but as usual, we are always open to the questions, the suggestions, and whatever you think, whatever things you would like to discuss with us over LinkedIn or email. So feel free to reach out to us. So yeah, I mean, if you have any topic suggestions, so this was one of the topic suggestions from a couple of members from our chapter. So we definitely took it to the ground, we worked on it, and we delivered it. So if you have any other topic suggestions, please feel free to reach out to me or Ajay or even both of us. So yeah, till we meet next time, take care, take very good care of yourself. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for your time. And congratulations once again to all the winners if you are on the call. We'll
Thank you,
follow.
Darshil. Thank you,
Yeah.
Ajay. It was a great
Thank
session.
you,
Thank
Ajay.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you
everyone.
so much. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.